Hey, I'm Charlie, and I just finished my 100% run of Flameland. I wanted to show it off because it took a little while to route, and I think the route's really interesting. So maybe let's start by talking about what am I even collecting? See, Flameland has three kinds of collectibles. Those are the dragons, the level exits, and the 10 coins. You'll see me collecting dragons even in this tutorial. You start with Flame, so he's going to start checked off. And then I get Wave here. And all the dragons are going to be playable characters. The tutorial requires me to unlock 3 more dragons in addition to Flame, and I'll get Smoke while I'm at it. The 10 coins, also called coin orbs, are these power-ups. Power-ups come in 3 varieties. There's the red power meter power-ups, the blue bubble shields, and the yellow coin orbs. Because the yellow coin orbs are rare and hidden, they're considered a collectible. But in addition to all of these, I will have to get the medals in the windmill. And because of a medal in the windmill called the Perfectionist Medal, it's not enough just to find every level exit. I have to S-rank every level exit. I've added a checklist to the right of the video so you can follow along with my progress, but I gotta stop right here to explain a glitch I'm about to do. See, this fire power-up is supposed to stop you in place when you get it, so you can watch it travel to the bottom of the screen and understand how power-ups work. However, if you're using Wave, the game takes away Wave's control when you start the dash attack and gives control back to the player at the end of Wave's dash attack. And so giving the player back control because of the dash attack overrides the tutorial taking away your control. This lets you move to the signpost and end the tutorial that much faster. Now, one of the things that I think makes Flameland an interesting speedrun is that run meter. See that animation of the running dragon in the bottom right corner? That animation is actually a combo meter, a kind of counter that increases every time you kill an enemy, pick up a diamond, or pick up a coin, and then decreases gradually over time, or decreases all at once if you lose a life by getting hit when you don't have a bubble shield up. And that run meter determines your max speed, so you can see I was moving slower before I started picking up coins, and then you'll see me start to move faster as I manage to chain together some enemy kills. Oh, and picking up the coin orb definitely helps, but I'll talk more about that later. You're about to see the speed bonus flash on screen, which is a reflection of the value of the run meter. The minimum value is 0 and the maximum value is 20, so ideally in this run you'll be seeing a lot of 17, 18, 19, 20 speed bonuses. And that's especially true since getting S rank on each exit will require getting 55 or more on each exit. Now it looks like I scored below 55, but that's actually because I start this round with -20. I'll explain that later. Side note, did you notice me just pick up that coin orb with Smoke's Fire? That's because Smoke's Fire is considered an extension of his power-up hitbox. But we also have to put that aside. I'll probably be talking about that when I talk about Nessie and the dojo levels. The score is what I was trying to talk about. The scores in Flameland have 3 components. First, you get a point for every enemy you kill and every diamond you pick up in a level with a maximum score of 30. You also get a point for hitting the signpost, and I think like 5 points for every mini-boss. That's the first category. It will be displayed at the top unlabeled when I hit the signpost at the end of this level. The next category is the time bonus. See that clock at the bottom? That counts down from 80 in a normal level, or in the final level 99, and you get a point for every second left on the clock. And we end with the speed bonus, which I've already told you about, a value of 0 to 20, reflecting my max speed at the time I leave the level. Coins will increase my speed bonus by 1, enemies and diamonds by 3, and coin orbs by 10. This is, by the way, the only value of coins and coin orbs, is they help increase my speed. They do not themselves offer any points. And also recall that that speed bonus counts down gradually, so it's not like I get a coin orb and I'm automatically at 10. I will lose that speed bonus if I don't keep the combo up. We're about to hit one of the trickiest splits in the run, and that's because I have to go through and get every dragon in this level 3 in one go while still getting an S rank. I said the routing is interesting, and here's why. You unlock the level select by beating a round of Flameland, but you also have to beat a round of Flameland in solo mode. And you have to beat a round of Flameland with a score of 280 or more. That's not as important. The solo mode's the interesting one. You have to beat Flameland in these ways because of the medals, but I only want to beat Flameland once. I don't want to have to beat it multiple times. So I'm going to try to beat it in solo mode with a score of 280, and to do that, I obviously need to unlock solo mode. But to unlock solo mode, I have to beat the dojo level of every dragon, and to unlock the dojo level of a dragon, I need to unlock that dragon, which means that before I beat the final boss, I need to unlock every dragon, and only then will I beat the final boss, because I only want to watch the credits roll once. Rant paused, I need to talk about, I'm about to get a combo in this room by killing both those Pegasus on the way out. I think that's really absolutely essential for keeping your run meter high, and actually just as a safety precaution, I'm also going to pick up the 10 coin in this rocket. Given that I successfully hit both Pegasuses, I probably didn't need that 10 coin, and I could have picked it up my next time through this level. But I did it on both of my runs through this level as kind of a safety precaution to make sure my run meter was high when I left the level. Okay, resuming rant. So I want to pick up every dragon before unlocking level select, and also I want to go to level 3 as little as possible without level select. And the reason I want to go to level 3 as little as possible is because of that minigame that happened earlier. In a standard round of Flameland, there is a minigame between level 2 and level 3 that takes 20 seconds and can't be skipped. So what is the absolute minimum number of times I have to play that minigame? Well, the answer is 4, because there are 4 level 4s, and each level 4 counts as a level exit. And you can't play a level from the level select unless you've already exited from that level. And so I have to play every level 4 in a standard round of Flameland, which means 4 minigames, which means 4 times through the level 3s. Except my 4th time through a level 3, my 4th minigame, and my 4th time through a level 4, that will all be on my solo mode run to beat the game. Which means before unlocking solo mode, I can only run through those level 3s 3 times if I'm trying to do this optimally. Oh shoot, I gotta talk about this real quick. So every level has 4 10 coins including the castle. 3 of the castle's 10 coins are mutually exclusive, and 1 is there all the time. We just got the one that's there all the time. The ones that are mutually exclusive are based on your route through the game. Because the castle is always the final level, but it will look different based on which level 1, which level 2, and which level 3 you pick. And the way the other 10 coins are set up is so that you can't get 2 at once. So we just got 2, we got the one that's always there, and then we got one of the 3 that's exclusive. And then we caught the princess, and then we reset before the final boss. Because again, we're not going to fight the final boss until we've unlocked solo mode. Looks like I missed my chance to talk about building unlocks. We'll talk about them later. Here I'm changing my roster. I'm adding Naga for Flame. Naga is good because her ability lets her regenerate fire if she kills enemies, which I really like. It means I can worry a little less about fire power-ups. And then Marius. Marius is good because the super jump lets him travel very far vertically and very fast vertically. You've actually seen me already use Marius to cheese a part of the game. I used Marius in the rocket room to travel backwards and unlock a dragon that I was really supposed to go a different route to find. Now, I suspect there is probably a better roster, maybe one involving Rex, because Rex's ability lets him sprint while using Fire Breath. The any % run of this game, done by my friend Aaron, is incredible and uses Rex's sprint ability to great effect. I am going for a longer run. I'm playing it a little more safe. Speaking of which, I can finally talk about why I'm beginning each round with negative 20 points. It's because of a difficulty setting. There's a menu in the cafe with different difficulty modes, and one affects how bubble shields work. Bubble shields by default don't pop when you take damage, but literally just anytime they come into contact with anything. As such, they act more like an extra attack than an extra health, which is really interesting because it means that if you're going for a score run, you can't play defensively. I mean, if you have a bubble shield on, you can't even really use a Fire Dragon's attack, and Fire Dragon's attacks are some of the best for score runs. Now, as much as I want to talk more about score runs, I have to say there is now a difficulty setting that lets you change how those bubble shields work. It causes bubble shields to act as an extra health, the way players seem to expect, and you can clearly see that's what I have on. But I actually have on even an easier difficulty setting. The difficulty setting I have on is called Fizzy Pop. In addition to making the bubble shields work as an extra health, Fizzy Pop also gives characters bubble shields at the beginning of every round. Now, certain difficulty settings, because they make the game so much easier, also come with a point penalty. The point penalty is never that harsh, but it prevents them from really being viable ideas for a high score. You can turn on Healthy Pop, which lets the bubble shields work as extra health without incurring a score penalty. But if you turn on Fizzy Pop, where your characters also start each round with bubble shields, you incur a score penalty of 20. This won't affect individual level scores, so it's still just as easy as ever to get S rank, but it does affect round scores. So all that means is to get the legendist medal, where I said I need to score 280 or more, I really have to score 300 or more, because I start with negative 20 and I have to get to the score of 280. I could of course turn off this mode to do the solo run, but actually that would involve going to the cafe and that would lose me time. So instead I leave it on and I just make sure to score more points. Which is fine by me. I love score running this game. It's actually probably the primary way I interact with this, and as such, when I do the speedrun, you'll see me engage in a few bad habits. One of which is that I'll be holding the switch characters to sometimes just kind of catch my breath and take a look around. But I think I did better. I've been practicing and trying to do that less, so hopefully you'll see me do that less. But occasionally you'll see me enter a room and do that by instinct, by habit. And the reason I do it is because a score run doesn't punish you for opening the character wheel. The timer stops ticking down when you open the character wheel, and the run meter stops ticking down when you open the character wheel. So both things that are ticking down continuously, they stop and give you time to think and pick which character you want. I really love this about score runs. It makes score runs feel more creative. Oh, and the coin I'm getting here, it would actually be faster to get this coin orb on the solo mode run through the game. But I get the coin early because the solo mode run through the game is very high stress, and really it can't go wrong. Like, if I missed that coin orb, if I fell to my death, it would lose me a lot of time. Whereas falling to my death actually on this run through this level isn't so bad because there are enough enemies that I can actually get my combo meter back up pretty quickly. Where was I? Right, score runs. I think score runs can be more creative because you actually really have time to think about every decision, to change characters very frequently, and there's really no penalty for switching characters. In a speedrun, there is kind of a time penalty for switching characters. It doesn't take long, but it adds up. So I think I prefer score runs, but also I've been doing more score runs than speedruns, and you can just see some of my score run bad habits bleed through into this. Okay, this is my second level 4, and picking up Coco was very fortuitous because she can sprint through this. I don't even really need to enter the castle this time. I only need to enter the castle 3 times. The first time I picked up 2 10 coins and the princess, and now I need to enter 2 more times to pick up the 2 more 10 coins. My final time in the castle picking up the final 10 coin will also be my time in solo mode beating the final boss. That said, with this choice of level 1, I'm already preparing for my second time into the castle. The 3 castle 10 coins that are mutually exclusive are Room 1, based on a choice of level 1 Islands and level 2 Wasteland. Room 2, based on a choice of level 2 Underland and level 3 Highlands. And Room 4, based on a choice of level 1 Funland and level 3 Outlands. You thought I was gonna say room 3, but room 3 is actually that one that houses the one that's there all the time. At the base of the tower, which is in room 3, you can go and you're supposed to use Fire Dragon to break the blocks, Electric Dragon to activate the cannon, Water Dragon to swim up a bit, and Air Dragon to jump on the cloud blocks. But we didn't need an Air Dragon because we had Marius' super jump to bypass the cloud blocks. Now, when routing this, I knew I wanted to get either the room 2 or room 4 coin on my solo mode run through the game. I knew it didn't make any sense to get the room 1 coin on that run. So on my first run through the castle, when I was picking up the princess anyway, I figured there was no harm in going to chambers 3 and 4 to get those other 10 coins, since the princess was all the way in chamber 5. But this time, I just really want to be in and out. So I've picked the level 1 and 2 that will set up the room 1 10 coin. So on the difficulty settings, because I said I really like how the bubble shield originally works, but am clearly not doing that here. Well, there's 2 reasons. One is, just for a run this long, I think it's better to be safe, and 2 is, for things like here, I can save time by strategically losing the bubble shield to get through a laser. I deliberately take damage to get rid of the obstacle. I'll do that in a bit too when I go to free the dragonfly in the forest level. I'll use bubble shields to destroy saw blades without worrying about them. We're about to do the minigame for the third and final time before the solo mode. Remember, I only want to do this minigame 4 times, and the 4th time will be in solo mode when I'm planning to beat the game. Now that means I'm setting up to get the rest of the level 3 dragons, both of which are in the Highlands. And to do that, I'm going to give the power up that comes out of this to Buzz, so that he has full power to take on the unicorn. You'll notice that I use Buzz to cheese basically all the mini-bosses in this run. The mini-bosses have attack patterns and ways of damaging them that are in line with the level themes that you're supposed to interact with and I think are interesting, but to get S rank and kill a mini-boss, that's just not fast enough. And it works a lot better to use one of the dragon abilities to kill them quickly. I suspect Zip Zap, who Aaron uses to great effect in the any percent run of this game to kill the final boss pretty much instantly, would be the best answer, but I haven't unlocked Zip Zap yet in this run. You probably could. You could reroute to get Zip Zap before Basilisk, but I prefer Buzz. I just find him easier to use, so I'm just going to use him here. Now I want to take a moment to talk about one of my favorite things about Flameland, and that's the Fire Breath. Fire Breath is how all fire dragons attack, and it's basically an on-off attack. When it's on, you're deadly, and you kill the enemy. When it's off, you take damage. So you see me here using it to kill enemies quickly. I'm trying to minimize my time with the attack on, because the longer it's on, the more power I lose at the bottom. This probably should have come earlier. If you've just been watching me run into enemies and kill them or not kill them and not understood, I'm sorry, that's pretty much what's happening. I often am using the Fire Dragon ability. That's the most common ability in the game, but it's also kind of the ability the game was designed around. When I made the first iteration of Flameland, like 20 years ago now, I was playing Classic Sonic, and I was noticing that the spin dash stopped you in place to charge up, and I thought, what if you didn't have to stop in place to charge up? And then I ended up experimenting with ability that didn't affect your movement at all, so you just platform through a level normally while trying to like turn on and off off to kill enemies. And then when adding the run meter, I feel like it kind of came full circle. Sonic, spins into a ball to go down slopes to pick up a lot of speed. Flame turns on to kill enemies, and the killing enemies is what gives you the speed. It's not a momentum-based platformer, it's not physics-based, but it is about doing certain things to increase speed. And those things, because I was really interested in score running even when conceiving this game, are all about enemy kills and points. I realize to some Sonic fans this probably sounds ridiculous, because without the characteristic physics, can this really even be inspired by Sonic? But I was really interested in the way you would play Sonic levels over and over to find the fastest route through them, and how that would lead to faster movement. Now that we officially have all the level 3 dragons, we won't be entering level 3 again until solo mode, and then after that we'll pick up the remaining exits and 10 coins via the level select. The level select probably loses time on any level 1s and level 2s because of how long the transition from the level select to a level is, but it will save time on any level 3 because we don't have to play through the minigame. That means my routes through the level 1s and level 2s can be a lot safer, can take a lot more time, because I don't have to get all the characters in one go. If it hasn't been clear already, the primary idea of this route is to get S ranks on every exit while picking up the other collectibles along the way, and so I don't want to go through an exit or even start a level if I'm not going to get an S rank on that exit. This is what has made the routing for the level 3s tricky, is trying to get every character in the level 3s in just 3 runs while still getting those S ranks. But for example here, I'm only getting 1 character and 1 10 coin, and it's going to be easy to get an S rank in that scenario. This is what I talked about earlier, by the way, using the bubble shields to get through those saw blades without losing my combo. I guess it wouldn't matter if I lost my combo because the 10 coin's right there. You'll also see me switch characters because I don't want to use Naga's bubble shield because I'm trying to play it safe. Finally, having gotten the Dragonfly, we can make one of our final roster changes of the run. We won't be changing our roster again until after solo mode. Dragonfly's ability is a lot like Maria's, but a little more controlled. She has what's called double jump, and so it's not a super jump, but she can chain her double jumps together as long as she has power. So I can go very high with very little difficulty. I don't need to switch to Buzz here. This is really a score run tactic where I use Buzz to shoot an off-screen enemy, and then I use Dragonfly to use the cloud blocks, but then switch to Naga to kill those enemies. Even though switching costs me real time, it does not cost me any in-game time, and switching characters like that helps me score more points and score higher in general. The reason I did it this time through the level and not the other times is because this exit is going to be hard to get. I'm trying to get Zip Zap at the same time, and you can see this is the room where you get Zip Zap. The sand is costing me a lot of time and also a lot of value in my run meter. Now, I'm not only trying to get Zip Zap, I'm also trying to get a 10 coin under the sand floor, and I still need to score S rank on that level exit. So I considered it a safer strat to do those changes in the first room so that I could get a few extra points in case I mess something else up later, because I have messed up things later. Sometimes it really is just 1 or 2 points that makes the difference. Hey, I just messed up that Pegasus. I should have hit that Pegasus. If I hadn't jumped and I just hit the beach ball and let the beach ball bounce me, I would have hit him. Anyway, all that worrying was for nothing because I get 64 points here, which is 9 over what I needed. So something else as I play these levels that I should have brought up ages ago. The run meter isn't just confined to the bottom of the screen. You can also see the run meter on your character in the form of a sparkle. The character will sparkle more and brighter the higher the combo meter gets. If you have no sparkle at all, you are under 10, and then starting at 10, you'll start with a red slow sparkle, and then at 20, you'll have a very fast bright yellow sparkle. I do an unnecessary switch here to make sure that Naga has enough fire for what's coming up, especially since Naga lost her bubble shield. I consider this one of the tougher parts to do quickly, because you have to pull the seesaw all the way one way and then fly up to the other side, and I just want to have fire breath in case I needed to deal with that Pegasus. Not to mention, Naga's going to be my way of going to the exit quickly and picking up a lot of kills along the way. 2 small things worth noticing. One is that when I pick up a dragon, and I already have 4 dragons in my party, the game asks me to discard 1, and if I select to discard the dragon I just picked up, that puts me back at the first dragon in my roster, who will be Naga, based on how I did the character select. I think that's the right choice, putting Naga first, because she's useful in most situations, but maybe there's a world in which you put Marius first so you switch back to him automatically. And the second thing happened already while I was yapping, but maybe you saw it, I started the reset early enough that the level rank didn't even appear. If I had wanted to continue, I would have had to wait for the level rank to appear, and then would have had to wait for the text to change to say, press F to continue to next level. So if done correctly, resetting saves you a ton of time. It's just hard for me to remember to start holding the 0 key before hitting the signpost. Also, it doesn't make sense to reset after a level 1 because there are a lot of level 2s I want to play, and I think it still saves me time to play those level 2s in a round of Flameland, as opposed to in the level select of Flameland. Not to mention, to unlock the level select of Flameland, I still need to beat the game, and I'm planning to beat the game only after I unlock solo mode, and I can only unlock solo mode by unlocking all the dragons. Whoop, misstep here. That's okay, this misstep is easy to recover, because actually this is the way I score run the game, though I'm making the speedrun a little different. I didn't go down to pick up that other knight for an extra point, for example. Oh, and obviously in a score run I wouldn't have fought the mini-boss. Oh, and in this last room I'm gonna make some mistakes. That's okay. It's in this next level where I'm really gonna start to be a little bit cautious in the Underland, because in this next run through the Underland, I'm gonna be trying to do quite a lot. I'm trying to kill Cerberus, I'm trying to get the 10 coin in the Dark Cave, I'm trying to get the 10 coin near the lava waterfall, and I'm trying to get an S rank on that lava waterfall exit. Spoiler alert, it'll be fine. I'll get a score of 60, but it's gonna be pretty tight. This is an exit I've actually messed up several times. I don't think it's quite as tight as that first run through the Outlands, but it's close. So when I say play cautiously, what will that entail? Well, you'll see it in the Dark Cave room. I'm going to pause the game using the character wheel, and I'm doing that just to catch my breath and assess the situation, especially because I'm about to lose my bubble shield here, so you can say I'm really going to be on edge for the rest of the level. But again, when I open the character wheel right now, it doesn't cause the timer or the run meter to tick down, and here I'm doing it again to switch to the Dragonfly, and I'll do it right at the beginning of the next room, just again, catching my breath. Something you'll see coming up is Marius jumping on enemies. I probably should have brought this up earlier. Most dragons can't jump on enemies, but Marius is an exception. He can kill enemies by jumping on them, and the great thing is that doesn't use up any of his power. His power is only used up if you use the ability button, which is the super jump. I think it's actually best that most dragons can't kill enemies by jumping on enemies. I think it forces you to engage with fire breath and other mechanics. Not to mention that jumping on enemies affects your movement and requires some precise aiming, whereas fire breath, the aiming is more general. You just have to jump into an enemy, and ideally you can pretty much do the same path you would have been doing anyway. Now I know a lot of players are expecting to be able to jump on enemies because of Mario, but I'm trying to do something very different. But Mario's namesake is actually Mario, and this gets into a general trend with the water dragons. I said earlier fire dragons tend to attack with fire breath, but they all have this variation on fire breath. Like Rex's fire breath causes him to sprint, or Smoke's fire breath has that range we talked about. And of course Naga can get power back if she kills enemies with her fire breath. Well, all dragon types have this kind of theme. So like fire dragons are fire breath, air dragons are often movement, but importantly never attack, electric dragons are ranged attacks, and water dragons, they're miscellaneous melee attacks, but actually a lot of them are based on video game characters. Marius is based on Mario, but also has that super jump from Kirby. Ouroboros, who I'm getting here, is based on Sonic. His ability is a kind of spin dash. Croc is like Kirby because he can suck in and then spit out enemies. And lastly, Snow attacks with icicle swords, so kind of like Link, but truthfully more like Sword Kirby. Nessie, Wave, and Hydra don't fit into this pattern quite as well. I guess Wave is kind of like Comet Kirby, and Hydra, you could almost argue, is like those games where you control whole armies because Hydra has those little heads that it controls. But Nessie truly is just an explanation of what the bubble shield's supposed to do. That's kind of the point of Nessie. Now, putting Ouroboros in my party was actually a bit of a mistake. Not a big one, but a small one. But my notes said to, because my notes were a little out of date. So I don't have this checklist on the side that would be really too cumbersome to be using while trying to speedrun this. Instead, I just have a keynote that tells me what to do in the next level. In an earlier routing of the game, where I didn't think I'd be able to get 3 dragons in the pyramid level all in one go, I went to the pyramid level an extra time before unlocking solo mode, and I used Ouroboros in that time because you can swim in the space room like you can in water. And so at the beginning of the space room, I would charge up Ouroboros' spin dash and then swim straight to Mars while taking out enemies. Unfortunately, this run doesn't really have that many places anymore where I pick up dragons along the way that I'll need for that particular round. It really only does in that first round, where I need to pick up Marius to do some things in the Outlands, and also picking up Rex and Naga refills my fire nicely. But the dragons who offer the most weird utility for kind of getting around obstacles quickly, and more quickly than intended, are definitely Marius and Dragonfly. And so once you have them on your team, they're pretty much staples. Now, unbelievably, I've actually run out of things to say, so I'm gonna chime back in a bit when I make a mistake in the Wasteland, but other than that, you can actually come meet me at the dojo level, or you can keep watching, and there's just gonna be no commentary for a bit. Okay, here's a small mistake I made that I actually do want to comment on. You actually have to hold ability and jump button at the same time to get the most height out of that super jump. So I messed it up, I didn't get quite as high as I wanted, and just knowing that would mess me up later in the level, I just restarted immediately. One more small thing here, the trigger for if you take the high path is actually landing on, or I guess passing through that swinging platform back there. You could in theory fly straight up and get the 10 coin right when you enter, but you would have to do it without the camera. So I find it easier to go forward, hit that platform, and then go backward. This is going to be the first real blunder of the run, and it's going to happen in a few phases. So one, I don't kill these as efficiently as possible, but more importantly, in the giant gear room. Actually, if I just jumped in the giant gear room, I could make it down without having to wait for this arm to go down. But I'm also about to clip through an arm in a way that's really devastating and puts me back some seconds, like right there. And at this point, I'm realizing I'm going to need Marius's and Dragonfly's ability to get out of here efficiently, and that's not good because I need those abilities for the next room too. So rather than waste any more time on it, and knowing that I can't get an S rank on that exit, I just reset. I'm gonna have to try later in the run at a place where I'm going through a level 1 and my notes don't have me going through a level 2 to go back to the haunted house to try to get its 10 coin, which you need both gold keys to get, and then S rank on the haunted house exit. But actually, this is a place where I probably should reroute. I shouldn't be going to the haunted house exit after the garden exit, because I use a lot of Dragonfly's ability on the garden exit to try to get the 10 coin in the canopy room, and then to move back to the birdhouse as efficiently as possible. Meanwhile, Dragonfly's ability can be really crucial to both of the gold key rooms in the haunted house. So as I'm about to discover, it makes way more sense to go to the haunted house after this exit, because I don't even use Dragonfly's or Marius's ability for that matter in this Islands exit. I also want to mark that this exit was almost a blunder. You'll see that I get 55 exactly, which is cutting it awfully close. It would have been a little safer if I'd managed to kill that last mermaid. That wouldn't have just been one extra point, it would have been +3 to the speed meter. Okay, so I missed the jump in the gear room again, where I have to wait for the arm to go down. Seriously, you can skip that arm if you get that jump right. I just hesitated. But it doesn't matter this time, because this time I have Dragonfly's ability, so I can get up here very quickly and easily. Something small I'm going to start doing on the checklist that's really irrelevant to the run, but if you're watching the checklist, it might be fun to watch, is I'm going to start coloring in the levels that I complete everything in. Okay, now something I want to talk about for a while, but haven't been able to. It's something I want to talk about since I first unlocked the dojo, is the way I'm going to use the building unlocks to move me around the hub world. So I'm at a place where I'm ready to unlock solo mode and do one last run of the game in solo mode before unlocking level select and finishing up everything in level select, which means I'm ready to play the dojo levels. But returning to the hub world right now is going to trigger the game to check if I've unlocked the bell tower, which I have, which is then going to put me, when I exit the bell tower, right next to the dojo. Unlocking the bell tower actually moved me in the hub world in a way that was beneficial to me. And this isn't the first time I've done that, because the first time I did that was by making sure I unlocked at least 8 dragons in the first round of the game after unlocking the cafe, which would have put me very far from the place where I could begin another round. It also unlocked the dojo, which put me right next to the place I could begin another round. To be clear, you will always unlock the cafe after your first round of playing the game, but you will always unlock the dojo after you unlock 8 dragons. So I just had to make sure to unlock the dojo and cafe at the same time, so that unlocking the cafe, which is very far from everything else, would lose me the least time possible. And this is not the last time I'll pull this trick either. I'll also pull it when unlocking the boss rush. The game won't check if I've unlocked the boss rush in the level select, it will only check on the reset level screen, and so I'll avoid resetting the level until I'm ready to go to the windmill, because the boss rush is right next to the windmill, but that's later. Right now, let's talk about these dojo levels. Now, unlike the main level exits, I only need A ranks on the dojo levels. The A ranks are going to be what unlocks solo mode. And an A rank should be pretty easy to get. I only need 40 points. As such, I imagine there's better routing on some of these that would get you less points, but save you time. But then again, based on how points are tied to the run meter, I think there are a lot of circumstances where getting the most points is also going to be the shortest route. What made this a very successful run was in part that actually I made very few mistakes focus on the dojo levels after that buzz mistake you saw earlier. Then again, these are really probably the easier dojo levels. The trickier dojo levels are probably going to be Loong with his fireworks, Snow with his slow sword, Boomerang because it's hard to catch that boomerang and get your power back, and actually Nessie because of reasons we're going to get into in a sec. But coming up after Zip Zap is Loong, so I'm going to explain. Loong's ability is a fireworks shield, which is usually great, but to get the most speed and power out of it, you actually want to time the fireworks to appear basically right over top of an enemy. And so I do that to kill the first two enemies, which really helps the combo meter, and then I try to create the shield to just run to the rest of the level. Dragonfly is next. The key to Dragonfly is that if you're holding the jump button, it doesn't only make you jump higher, even with your ability, it also slows your fall. So holding the jump button often can really help navigate around these saw blades. And Hydra after Dragonfly. Hydra is like one of my favorites, but she's really difficult to use, and so I am probably going to be a little more cautious on our level just to really make sure I don't die and waste a bunch of time. But you can see me just really missing the Pegasuses here. Now, something that's occurred to me rewatching this is I wonder if it would have been faster after beating the level to hold zero key to reset rather than wait for it to let me press the ability button. And then I could just go out the door that is at the beginning of the level, which would take me back to the dojo. I also want to take a moment to say here, I really like that the dojo levels let me use all the powers in this 100% run, because otherwise there'd be no reason to use a lot of these dragons, including one of my favorites is Balloon, who's going to come up after Marius. But I'm going to shut up now for just a sec while I wait for Snow's level to start. Okay, so the trick to using Snow is what you're seeing me do here, is if you jump and attack at the same time, you can move while attacking, as opposed to his normal attack, which just stops him in place. So this is a good way to get through the level quickly. And next up is Piazza, and what you're going to see me doing in Piazza's level is trying to use the power only 3 times, not 4. Now, I wonder if it would be smarter to use it earlier on and try to avoid using it at a later point. But the thing is, Piazza's power, even though it kills a bunch of enemies, it also stops you in place while the power is happening. So you don't want to use it, but also you need to use it because you need to kill those enemies to increase your run meter. Oh hey, Rex's level. The key to Rex's level truly is just get one of the fire power-ups. And as long as you can get one of the fire power-ups, you're golden. Rex's level is probably the hardest casually, and I mean it still is hard for me, but I really think practice makes it easier. Now, I want to say a lot about Nessie's levels, because what makes Nessie's level hard is actually the difficulty setting I have equipped. The difficulty setting I have equipped makes bubbles act as an extra health, not an attack. So under the default setting, it's really easy to kill enemies with a bubble shield, because if a bubble shield even touches an enemy, it kills that enemy. But under these difficulty settings, I need to run into the enemy, and I really need to run into the enemy, because actually every character has 3 different hitboxes. One hitbox, which is the same for every character, just handles like collisions with the background, and that way, no matter what character you switch into, you'll always be hitting the obstacles the same way. The other 2 are the interesting ones. One handles collisions where you get hurt, and the other handles collisions where you either pick up a power-up or hurt something else. And one of the ways the game tries to cheat in favor of the player is that the box that determines if you get hurt is really small. For an enemy to hurt you, it really has to hit like the center of your character. Whereas the hitbox that determines if you kill an enemy or pick up a power-up is usually very big. That's why I could use Smoke's Fire Breath to pick up that power-up earlier. It's because the same hitbox is used for both those things, and it's a very big hitbox. Unfortunately for Nessie, if I'm using this difficulty setting, then I'm considering any collision with an enemy that would destroy a bubble shield to be an example of you getting hurt, not you killing an enemy. Which means that Nessie's level is extra difficult because you really have to ram into those enemies. You have to make it clear to the game that you've been hit by the enemy in order to kill the enemy. Okay, I'm finishing up that rant pretty much just in time to be able to talk about Naga, because I've been using Naga this whole game, but I've only been using one part of Naga's power. So as we begin this level with Naga, you'll see that the passive is Safe If Still, and gain power from kills. We've been talking about gain power from kills. We've already been talking about gain power from kills, but now you can see she can go under those electric beams as long as she's staying still. And it's not even as long as she's staying still. In truth, the game acts more generously than that. As long as my hands are off the movement keys, even if she's sliding to a halt, she'll count as still. And this way, it never feels cheap to the player. But it also can be exploited if you're trying to go quickly through that dojo. I exploited it kind of accidentally. Here's what I consider the hardest dojo level because you have to keep catching the boomerang. So here, I slow down my jump to make sure I catch the boomerang, and now I try to catch this boomerang here, and thankfully it kills the fairy just in time. I don't end up using the boomerang on that first archer, even though maybe I should have, because I was trying to save it for the end there where I could really loop it. And I didn't successfully loop it, but I still got A rank. It's all good. It's just really hard to keep power. The real key to the boomerang level is save at least some power for the end so you can use the boomerang there. And finally, I'm on to my last dojo level. You can see at the bottom, 28 SAS ranks obtained out of, I need 29 because there are 29 characters. So here is the princess. Her level is also hard. As you can see, I just messed it up, but it's very doable. It just takes maybe a try or two. So I think I get it second try this time. Which means it's finally time to start talking about the solo mode run of this game. This is the hardest part of this game, the easiest to mess up, and the thing that could lose me the most time. And I choose to use Naga. Now, I'm going to talk about that choice in a second, but first I just need to let you know what's about to happen. I'm going to blunder this first run, and it's going to be a bad enough blunder that I'm going to decide to reset and just start fresh. The thing is, at this point in the run, my nerves were really a lot, because it's really hard to get a run this late into the game, and it's really scary, but thankfully I blunder in level 1, so I really don't lose that much time. So, why Naga? You might think it's because of her ability to regenerate fire, but actually the route I've taken and crafted, I crafted for Smoke. I thought Smoke would be the easier dragon to use because he has a bigger fire breath, he can attack more enemies more easily. It's just, I switched to Naga because I found that I was having trouble on the final boss. Now, that won't happen this time, but in theory, there is a safe strat for the final boss, where if you lose your bubble shield and you're on the final phase and you don't want to lose your combo, you can head to the bottom left corner. And as long as you're far enough into the fight and the boss is damaged enough, you can still kill the boss quickly enough just hanging and camping in the bottom left corner, using that safe if still ability so the boss can't hurt you. Basically, it's for that phase where the boss chases you around and the purple ball also chases you around. You're just trying to draw them both to that corner, and you just camp and wait. Now, if you're thinking about doing a strat like that, make sure you practice it in the snow globe first, so that you can understand how long it will take and how it will affect your final score. But anyway, I saved some specific level exits for this run through the game. So you'll see I just got the last exit I needed for the island. This is going to be the last exit I need for the underland. And also, along the way, if I lose my bubble shield, here's another bubble shield right there in the route for me to pick up, and extra fire. Not to mention, solo mode will give you fire at the end of every level. That's because you're starting solo mode with 1 dragon with 20 power, as opposed to 4 dragons with 20 power. You're starting essentially 60 power behind, and so solo mode will give you 30 power over the course of the run, 10 at the end of every level. Now, admittedly, that doesn't quite make up for the power you missed out on, but you know, it's something. And now I finally go through the minigame for the 4th time. I'll also be going through a level 3 for the 4th time before level select, and getting one last exit in that level 3. Meanwhile, for those watching the checklist, I've completed every level 1 and every level 2. Now, on this minigame, I am trying to get all the diamonds, and that will be true on this level 4 as well, because getting to a score of 280 is actually going to be pretty tight, I am afraid. I have gotten sometimes very close and missed it. For those who are noticing that I am not at any point pausing the game to open the character wheel, and maybe thinking I broke my bad habit, I should tell you that you actually can't open the character wheel in solo mode, so there's really no room to breathe. Here I pass up that 10 coin, that's the 10 coin. It would be faster to get on the solo mode run than when I got it earlier in the game, because earlier in the game I had to go out of my way to get it, whereas here it would have been right on my path. However, again, my nerves are a lot right now. I just didn't think I could trust myself to not fly off the edge if I tried to slow down to get that 10 coin. So I mentioned there's enough power on this run that you really don't need Naga's regenerating firepower ability. You probably could use a different fire dragon. I would recommend a fire dragon for the solo run. And in fact, I think probably your best candidate would be Rex, because Rex sprints while using fire breath. However, I just feel more comfortable with Naga, and I really, for the final boss, chose her, but also I do like that she regenerates firepower. You can see right now I have full firepower. That just makes me feel more comfortable. Okay, that's the 4th level 4, and now there's one more castle 10 coin I need to get. Unfortunately, it is the hardest castle 10 coin. It's just the way I ended up routing it. This was the way it ended up happening. So what makes this so hard is this seesaw has snow on it. Snow mutes your jump while you're in the snow, so if you're not careful and you try to jump up the seesaw, you'll end up staying in the snow for longer than if you jump straight up. That's because the seesaw tilts up, so again, if you're jumping up the slope, you're jumping into snow rather than jumping out of snow. So you actually have to stop in place and jump straight up to get out of the snow, which is hard and kind of counterintuitive and maybe needs some fix. So I realized that pause looks stupid, and it probably was, but there is some logic to it. The animation on the King's Orb growing doesn't pause when the game pauses, so if you pause the game, you can actually save some in-game time, which can be good for your score. Now for the crucial part, you can lock him between the shoot aim at you phase and the chase phase if you can keep the purple ball on him, but it's really hard to do. My strategy for this is really to have the bubble shield at this point, which I unfortunately lost, and then if I lose the bubble shield at any point, to go to the corner and wait out the rest of phase 4. But you can see I just kind of went for it and it worked, and thank God, and that was really hard to do. It's really hard to keep that purple orb on him when you're going at a really high speed. But I did it, and if you look at the upper left-hand corner of the checklist, this accomplishes 2 medals, both the soloist medal for beating the game in solo mode and the legendist medal for beating the game with a score of 280 or more. It also unlocks the level select, and I can use the level select to finish up those level 3s. Here I just check the level 2s first to make sure I'm good. Then I go about getting this level 3 exit. There's only one more important observation in the level select I have to make, which is if at any point I hold the 0 key and restart, it's going to check if I unlocked the boss rush, which by beating the final boss, I finally have. To unlock the boss rush, you have to beat all the mini-bosses and the final boss. And I had already beaten all the mini-bosses because I had to unlock all the dragons. And now that I've beaten the final boss, it's just waiting to tell me you unlock the boss rush. So I do not want to reset until I am ready to go to the boss rush. Which is probably part of why when I blundered on this level and lost Naga, I still went on and made use of my other dragons to do everything I needed to do. Here's another example of using Dragonfly or Marius to really go vertically where I should not be going. I'm supposed to use the UFO to get that, but instead I used Dragonfly to just totally bypass it. I also brought Wave to this, you may have noticed. That's because I'm going to use him for the space part of the level. And I blundered that a bit, but thankfully I got the 10 coin as a safety strat, and so it doesn't matter that I blundered the space part of the level because the 10 coin got my combo bonus high enough that it really, there just was a lot more leeway. And with this final S rank, you'll see that I accomplished 2 more medals. The Completionist medal, which is for finding all exits, all dragons, all 10 coins. And the Perfectionist medal, which is for getting S rank on all exits. So I'm just 1 level away, which is the Exorcist medal for completing the boss rush, and hey, look at that, I'm at the boss rush. I do love the boss rush in this game, how it remixes all the bosses so that they're used with a different boss's obstacle. So like that's Davy Jones using the obstacle from the Sphinx. Unfortunately, because I'm trying to speedrun this, I'm not really engaging with any of the obstacles. I'm more just trying to cheese these bosses. And here's my final observation, is that completing the boss rush puts me right next to the windmill, where now I can go and complete the final secret ending of the game. Thank you so much for watching. I'm not going to comment over the secret ending because there's really not much to say. Enjoy.